Mary J. Blige or Erica Badu?
Erica Badu.
How about Beyonce or Rihanna?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's three things certain in life: death, taxes, and this being the most charismatic podcast you'll ever listen to. Welcome to the most overrated, underappreciated, most viewed, underviewed podcast of all time. Welcome to the Prince of Fresh Air. I'm, of course, your host, the beloved, the most charismatic man in entertainment. Throw the ones up and acknowledge your tribal chief. Sorry, Roman Reigns, you've been demoted. But, before we have a good show and I introduce my guests, I do want to take a quick time to say, you know, there's a lot of things going on right now in society, with the government shutdown. A lot of people aren't getting paid. A lot of people losing jobs, losing their homes, their cars, having trouble feeding their family. And I just want to acknowledge that because even though we're having a good time on this podcast and, there's other people who might be living the lavish life. I know there are people out there struggling and, I'm not immune from it myself. So, I just want to quickly acknowledge that. And hopefully this government gets themselves right and we get a solution to this very quickly, especially with the holidays coming up. It will be, a sad day to see families, not be able to celebrate the holidays. But let's get back on track and have some fun. Because I'm about to have a great guest on the show. Now you might be wondering, who am I talking to today? Well, no need to fear because the most charismatic man is here to give you those answers. So she is a professional celebrity, event, sports photographer, wellness advocate, military spouse, entrepreneur, and founder of Tata Darling, one of the most well-regarded wellness Airbnbs in Southern California wine country. And she's also the author of the newest book, Me First Darling, where you can find on Google Books and Amazon. Don't be afraid to spend a little money to support my next guest. Please help me introduce Cheri Darling to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much,
Absolutely.
Percy.
Absolutely. Let's get the show on the roll because I got to your publicist. I got to talk to people on your team, and there's a lot to you that doesn't meet the eye. And I want to talk about something that you mentioned on social media is when you created Tata Darling, right? It was inspired by your time as a military spouse. So I just want to quickly dive into that. What inspired you in that time of your life to create Tata Darling?
Well, it was really to support people that had similar lifestyles, meaning that military spouses, we have to be the mother and the father. We have to play both roles. We have to be both parents. And it becomes challenging when those service men and women return because we had our system in place for the last 6 to 9 months. And now the trash can has to be over here because, and so it just gets to the point where it got to the point where I felt like I was kind of making excuses to kind of get a break from it. I would say I'm going to the store and I would be gone for a couple hours and come back with bread. But I would just try and go to the mall or just kind of go somewhere where I could just woosah. And I didn't
Right.
want to go, to the nail salon and all that. So I just thought, wouldn't it be nice for people to have a place where they could go and have just a beautiful cup of tea? It was actually started off being the ultimate tea and spa experience where you have tea on a silver tea tray and sandwiches and do red light therapy and all these spa services, and then you have to get in your car and drive over the 91 again. So I said, wait a minute, that doesn't sound fun. And so what I decided was to expand that idea to not only be the ultimate tea and wellness spa experience, but you actually could stay there overnight, go to the wineries that are less than 10 minutes away. And you have Lake Skinner about 15 minutes away. So it's a very peaceful area. And I opened it up because I felt like if I would want to go to a place like that, I'm sure other people would.
Absolutely. You are 100% right. Yeah, you're 100% right. And I think, one of the things that caught my attention, just to bring it back just a second, being a military spouse. Now, most of my family's from the military. I did
Mm,
my military training in high school. I didn't
yeah.
want to go because I didn't want to shave off the lettuce.
Yes.
But
Well, yeah.
yeah, I mean, most of my family's been in every branch, the
Wow.
Army, the Marines, and now my younger brother, he's in the Navy right now. And I think there's an appreciation there for me, at least, because I know what it's like, to have family, whether it's my
Yes.
own personal family or,
Yes.
my uncle who lived literally next door from my mom. I used to see them all the time. And, her husband, he would go overseas a lot. My cousin
Yes.
will leave his wife and his son to do the National Guard. And it does take a toll on you. So I just want to, quickly acknowledge that, ask you about that, because I'm sure there's people who've been in that situation or currently are going through that.
Yes.
How did you stay positive and motivated during those hard times when, obviously you missed the person, but just not having them there for a period of time? I know it can, sometimes be hard.
Oh, absolutely. And I can't take credit for any of success that I have. I pray often
Yeah.
and I'm blessed and highly favored, but I will share that the military community is spectacular. When one husband deploys, all the other husbands in the area makes sure that any lawn mowing that needs to be done, if you get a flat tire, and all the ladies, they circle around you. So it's a great community. And in fact, it's interesting the difference between living in a military community and then, when my husband retired, then you go into a civilian community. And
Yeah.
while everyone here is fabulous, I just know that there's a difference between a community where you have to know who your neighbors are. You must know who's next door because they may have to pick your kids up one day. We don't have family, normally when we're deployed, or when they're deployed, we're usually stationed somewhere away from our loved ones. So we make family quickly wherever we go. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you to your husband for his service. I think a lot of veterans don't get that the appreciation in today's society as they should, as they were back then. Are you originally from Southern California?
No, actually, I'm not from Southern California. I was actually born in Akron, Ohio. And of
Oh.
course, that's where LeBron James is from.
That's the only reason why I know that place.
I mean, that's a great reason. What other reason do you need? So,
Fair.
and so yeah, I was born in Akron, Ohio, and then, but I can't tell you a lot about it because when I was like under 5, we moved to Sacramento, California. So I've
Oh.
always been, I have to say, California girls.
Uh,
I mean, I mean, that's where we are. So I have to claim Lakers, and of course, I do root for the Ohio Buckeyes, though. So and USC
okay.
too. So
Yeah, USC. I lived near USC for almost 4 years. So, I'm familiar with LA. I mean, Southern California is a little different. I know where, your Airbnb and stuff is. I know it's a little further south, but
yes.
man, I miss it out there. The community out there, like you said,
Wait, where are you
it.
now?
So I'm originally from New York City, but I lived
Oh,
in
okay.
I graduated college in 2018 and I moved out to LA in 2019
Mhm.
until 2023, and I came back, just,
So
for
you're in New York
entertainment.
now.
Yeah,
What part?
Manhattan.
Oh, Manhattan. Okay.
Yeah, speaking of which, let's have a little fun here. So
Okay.
when I moved out there, and vice versa, when I'm in the city, there's always a talk going on about LA versus New York. Where do you stand? I need your opinion.
100% LA. I mean,
Oh,
was this a trick question or what? I know I mentioned Tupac and everything, and we love Biggie, but let's just be real here. I wouldn't dare say that. I love California.
no, this podcast is over. I'll see y'all later. Nah.
Yes,
I,
but and here's the interesting part, and I, maybe this is my invitation to invite myself out to New York, but I think the last time I was in New York, I feel like my dad was holding me like this. So I
Oh,
really can't take credit. But the only thing I'll tell you I know about New York, and do not get upset, because I know they say they have really big, like these things that crawl around.
yeah,
And I mean, and then, but I do know people talk fast, walk fast, great pizza. And I still want to see the Statue of Liberty and go. Okay, remember, there's a black and white movie. Don't embarrass me here, but there's a black and white movie where I think Clark Gable had to meet Ingrid Bergman on the top of, was the Empire State Building, right? Is that the wrong
uh,
movie? But
yeah.
anyway, maybe it
I know
was.
you're talking about.
Yeah. So I want to go to the top of the Empire State Building and
You want to do the touristy stuff. I got it.
yeah,
Got it.
I mean, I have to start there unless you're saying, hey, I have something way more interesting than the
Oh,
other stuff.
we could talk a little bit off, but I'll tell you this. I always try to tell people because it's funny enough. One of my friends from LA, he hit me up the other day and he was like, "Hey, I'm coming out," and I said, "Oh, what is the plans?" And he said, "Empire State Building. It's getting a little chilly now, so a lot of people don't really do Statue of Liberty, but he wanted to stay in Times Square." And I said that is the biggest money trap you can spend.
I still want to see the big sign. You want to see that.
Oh, see that's fine, but anything like you gotta pay for it.
And then the Apollo Theater, you got to go to the Apollo.
A lot of I think that's more of
Harlem,
a
I
black
got to
thing.
see Harlem.
That's definitely more of a black thing. I've rarely ever heard anybody outside of black say I want to go to Apollo Theater, but
Mhm.
yes, it's very nice.
Yeah. Well, you
Harlem
got to
is
be invited to the cookout. I heard to even go there.
yeah. You
I'm
might
just teasing.
I might have to give you a pass. We'll see. We'll see how this interview goes.
Okay.
So, we having fun, but I do want to talk to you about something. I know, your book. Um, you talked about empowering women, and you talked about wellness, and that being such a core value for you. And I think right now, outside of the intro and me talking about what's going on, I do think we're in a different era and space where this is a very appreciated topic, a very appreciated
Yes.
approach to health. What inspired you to get into wellness and all that good stuff?
Well, I know for 100%, my mother, she would make us take cod liver oil every day. So a big spoon, you could find cod liver oil every day. And if you spit it out, you get two. So I mean, and that's just red beans and rice, cornbread, and that's, how we were raised. She's from the South. So we had,
Oh,
fantastic food but healthy food. And so that inspired me to do the same things for my family. So for all of my children, I was an athlete. All my children are athletes, and so I know the importance of nutrition. But then, that's an interesting question because I always kind of dance over it a little bit. But I'll give you a little hint here. So usually people, when they're motivated in wellness, something has happened. They've gotten some information, a family member got this diagnosis. And so in that space, I was working through some things and realized that nutrition was the basis for all health and wellness. And also mental health was important, equally important.
yeah.
So once I started realizing that my children performed better when I gave them chia seeds or a smoothie, banana, and oatmeal for breakfast versus cereal, Fruit Loops and orange juice.
Oh,
Yes,
what's
it's
wrong
just
with that?
there's nothing wrong with it if you're not trying to perform optimally.
Yeah.
If you just want something sweet and you're like, hey, I don't care how much sugar this Fruit Loops and orange juice has, then So I just realized that they perform better in school, and my motivation was really trying to find out how to educate myself on all of these different illnesses that were out there. And when I came across the Gerson therapy, it was on Gaia, and I came across this therapy, and I learned how to make kombucha. And when I came across this therapy, it was unique because it starts off with making sure you're loading the body with organic foods and juices. But in order for the body to be healthy, you have to eliminate the toxins and the parasites and all the other things. So with the Gerson therapy protocol, stay with me here, it's very fascinating. It's you're taking coffee enemas and you're loading your body with organic apple juice and carrot juice. And what that does is it boosts the glutathione, which are the warriors, boost your immune system 500%. So when people are dealing with immune issues or cancers or anything like that, whatever it has to do, if you can boost your immunity, it's going to help whatever it is. And if I can give you 500% more glutathione for the 15-minute session in your restroom, like that's impressive. So when I found out about that protocol and start sharing the news, and people were giving me a lot of positive feedback about how it gave them more energy, how they feel like it extended their love in their life, and it's just so many benefits because coffee enemas actually are responsible for 500 functions of the body. The liver is responsible for 500 functions of the body. And so to include hormones and boosting glutathione, it's just an amazing protocol. And when I learned about it, I just couldn't stop sharing the news. So
yeah, I gotta say, people might see you and they see the hat and they think, "Oh, the South." But based on what you just said, you are strictly from California. That's California stuff right there, and that's a compliment. It's not a diss.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, we are in wine country. Okay,
right.
So you're going to see cowboy hats. You're going to see some cows. You're going to see cowboys, and and all the wineries. So but thank you for noticing. It's one of my favorites. One of my favorite ones.
Quick story, not to get off topic. I went to Nashville earlier this year. I think March, and I couldn't believe this was the first time I've ever seen this. I've seen, movies with, the white guy and the white girl with the cowboy hat. I was shocked to see so many black people with cowboy hats on. I've never seen it in my life. It's cool. I actually like it.
You said, where was this again?
Nashville.
Nashville.
Tennessee.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I think, we would be remiss if we don't mention, Beyonce here. I'm sure she had a lot to do with everybody rocking it a little bit harder.
I got some opinions on Beyonce. I'll keep that last. I'll keep that last. No, I will say it is nice that you mentioned that, because I do think, oftentimes, like the stuff you were talking about is more times I see that, like I said, is actually a compliment. LA, California, a lot of people over there care about their health. They're very all about body cleansing, mind cleansing. And it's fascinating thing, because you go to New York, everybody, when they talks about, health and they talk about eating an apple before eating a Big Mac. So it's different. And I gotta say, I think this is something that's very important, no matter what age you are, because I do think it's unfortunate. Like a lot of people I went to college with, if I look at them now, they look so beat down and broken, and it's sad to see young people like that. But I do think, like you said, it's important for people to take care of not only their physical, but also their mental health too, because we're seeing, rest in peace to the Marshall Nieberg. I'm forgetting his name, NFL player, 24.
Yes, I saw.
Unfortunate, and I think this is the conversations people need to have.
Well, I apologize. The only thing I heard, unless you have more information, was that he passed, but we couldn't determine how he passed. So did they release anything, or they just nothing?
Yeah, I'll tell you off camera. It's a little graphic, but essentially it was suicide. It was suicide. Yeah, and it goes to show, like, often, during the pandemic, I did a lot of episodes about, mental health and stuff. And I think until it hits you, and I don't mean you personally, but like people around you, it's definitely something that you don't really consider or take serious. And that's why, like, you talking about, mental health and physical health and taking care of yourself is very important, because people often, unfortunately, realize that when it's too late. And, I'm curious for you, like, and I'm not trying to ask you your age here, but like, when did you start this journey? Because oftentimes I usually see people you should get on this type of this change of mindset, or later in their life. Not to say you're old, but not 24.
Right, right. And absolutely. I feel like the journey that I'm first of all, I was an athlete. So I've always known the importance of nutrition. So it wouldn't, this is not something that I decided, hey, I'm 24 and a half and I want to be healthy now. To go into this space for me, it was bike riding, to Folsom Lake in Sacramento, and going rafting down the American River and things like that. So I'm coming from a background that's health and wellness, but the knowledge that I have to share in terms of specific herbs or specific protocols to help people. In fact, I did a wellness event at Fazeli Cellars, fantastic winery, by the way, and it was at 12:12. It was on 12:12 at 12 o'clock. That was last year. And I just like the number. I like the way it sounded. And it was my first one because I kept putting it off. I kept saying, well, I'll invite people later, or I'll do this wellness event later. And later it was now. And so I had a dear friend who had her gallbladder removed and didn't share that she was even having gallbladder issues. And so I was so upset because I had just been talking about the master gallbladder cleanse, and in terms of how, just something basic. I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving any medical advice, but Google the gallbladder master cleanse, and it will tell you that for 3 days you'll eat homemade vegetable soup, and then you'll take, I believe it's a quarter cup of your best olive oil and a quarter cup of fresh squeezed grape juice. Drink it, sleep on your left side, wake up, and then a bunch of green peas will be, present for you if you want to look. So that literally cleanses the gallbladder. That's something that was less than $20 that may have potentially saved her a gallbladder. And so I was there, and then the young lady comes over. She came over and she just said, I don't normally work today. And, I came in an hour early to help you in your party. And I said, well, I really appreciate that. And the only reason I'm having this event, I shared the story I just shared with you. And she looked at me like I was a unicorn. She just stared at me. And I said, everything okay? And she told me that her daughter, I'm not going to cry, her daughter was currently dealing with a gallbladder issue, and she did not want her gallbladder removed. And that they were, essentially praying for a solution. And here I come in, making her come in on her day off an hour early to tell her about a gallbladder story that happened a year early. You know what I mean? Like that's a stretch, isn't it? And so it's just, I just said, if your doctor is into nutrition, mention it to him. And she goes, well, what doctor's not into nutrition? And I said, well, they were going to give your daughter surgery without trying the nutrition first. You know what I mean? So just look, so this is at least something maybe, unless it's urgent, but that's why I say talk to your doctor, see if it's something that, you can utilize, but at least, for someone out there, maybe they can at least have a conversation instead of being, fearful.
Yeah, you're right. It should be a conversation. And, I didn't want to bring race into it, but I think it's very important, especially in the Black community, right? We, I remember having a conversation with my mom a few years ago, and we was talking about something similar to what we're talking about right now. And it's just like, it sucks that a lot of, the older generation, our parents, our grandparents, they didn't know none of this stuff. And, a lot of people, my father passed away, I think he was 45, young. And I think now, even though it's still taboo in a sense, depending on who you ask, but I think now is more mainstream what you're talking about. All these cleanses and, massage therapy and wellness treatments. It's becoming more mainstream. But I wonder for you, do you feel like even for you that it's even more powerful that you not only get to talk to women, but also Black women about what you're doing, and kind of inspire them to come on a journey that you're going on.
Yes. Oh, 100%. And it's interesting because the healthcare system has been proven to be a little different, more biased when it
Yeah.
comes to the African American woman. In terms of, we just saw Serena Williams and her situation when she was in labor with her daughter, and we almost lost both of them, you know. And so, and then Lupita, she was just on, I saw it yesterday. Lupita, I'm going to mispronounce her last name, but we all remember Wakanda.
Oh, what kind
And she was just on Instagram. I saw it yesterday, and she was talking about like 80% of women, African American women are more likely to have fibroids. And she may have said women, but I do know in our community is higher in the female Black community for fibroids. And so, we have to be able to ask questions, and it's important for doctors to realize that we are going to ask questions, and just be prepared to not say things like what was said to this lady. And you can Google it, just type in woman with 40 tumors. And she went to her doctor, and she says, the doctor says, hey, there's nothing we can do for you. It's, you go ahead and go home and get your affairs in order. And she said, well, what if I change my diet? And he goes, oh, it's too late for that. It's 40 tumors. And she said, well, what if I do, this water fast? I heard about water fasting. And he says, those are a bunch of quacks. And it's like, these are the words that I'm reading. I'm going, and this lady did a 21-day water fast. I'm not giving medical advice. I'm saying, read the story. She does a 21-day water fast, and all of the tumors were gone, or they shrunk to a very small size. And then when she went back to the doctor and said, look, isn't this great? His response wasn't that of a doctor who was happy that she found a solution. It was just the most incredible story. And I love when I can share those stories to inspire someone. I myself have done a 12-day water fast, and that's just, coffee, tea, water, or distilled or spring water, no tap, of course. And you can put, if you want to put cucumbers, but you don't have to be a fanatic, but what I learned is I went on, it's called Jason Fung's Water Fasting Support Group, and they're on Facebook. And I was, reading about water fasting and the benefits of water fasting. And after the third day, you go into ketosis, and your body starts going into autophagy, which is self-eating. And what that means is any weak or dying cells, the body's using that for fuel. And so it's just such a beautiful cleansing. And the body heals itself when you can let it get rest and load it with nutrients. So water fasting is great. I just recently read a book called The 1 Minute Cure. That was the easiest read ever. And it had a lot of testimonies. And basically it's called The 1 Minute Cure. And it talks about H2O2. So you're literally adding oxygen to the body, not hydrogen peroxide from the drugstore. And so, check out the 1 Minute Cure protocol. But it's just so amazing to know once you're in the space of disease cannot live in an oxygenated environment, and you add oxygen through meditation, breath work, this 1 Minute Cure protocol, and finding ways to cleanse the tissues, like in terms of mushrooms, wild turkey tail mushroom, sour sop. Those things have been shown to have so many great benefits. And I'm name dropping there. I'm just hoping someone's writing it down. But if you're not writing it down, I have updated my book. So my book is actually coming out, my updated edition, where I'm actually literally talking about these different healing protocols and how they impact the body. And I pulled my book off the shelf to add these amazing manifestation stories. And it's great because there's journaling at the back, right? But there's also coloring pages. Coloring. Come on. We talk about manifesting and using proper breath, and there's times where self-talk is the is what we need to heal ourselves. Positive self-talk, positive reinforcement. So when you're going through something and you're brushing your teeth, you're like, I got this, everything works out for me,
Yeah.
and remind yourself constantly, it's just a tennis match, stay positive. Oh man, they cut me off on the freeway, go back to center,
Yeah.
and just stay as positive as possible and just tune into frequency positive, because there's going to be some times where things are going to be rough, and you just have to remind yourself, hey, things always work out for me.
Amen to that.
There
You
you
said
go.
it right on the head. People get mad at me sometimes. They be like, "You so overly positive and optimistic." And I always say, like, it's not that I'm overly positive. It's the fact that I know there's always going to be light at the end of the tunnel. We're all going to have bad days and struggle. You
Right.
know, some of our favorite athletes, actors, entertainers, some of them have hit the bottom of the barrel before they got to
Yes.
success. So for
Yes.
me, I always look at it as like this is just a chapter in the journey that's being written. Yeah, and
Yes.
it doesn't define me, the highest of the highs or the lowest of the lows. And
Right.
I think that's very important too. But funny enough, what might surprise you is I actually do fast. And now I'll be your first to admit I've never done a 7-day fast. You
Right.
know, I love my
Not
food a
yet,
little too
not
much.
yet. Your body, when
Not
your
yet.
body's ready, it'll do, listen to your body. But the fact that you even ventured out, because when you talk to people that have never fasted, they lose their mind if you tell them, hey, I'm on day 2 of not eating anything, and they're just, you're not, you're still walking around and talking.
Yeah. You are 100% because that was my first thing when I'm telling you, when I went to California, this was all the stuff I learned. So
Ah,
before I moved there, I didn't know nothing about fasting, no nothing. And
yes.
then my roommate was like, "Yo, you ever tried fasting before?" I'm like, "What is that?" He's like, "Oh, it's when I forgot it's been a while since I researched it, but when you allow your body to, for me, I do like either 24
Intermittent. You talking about
and
intermittent fasting?
intermittent fasting.
Yes.
And so I did research on it. And I know they recommended, starting off with, 16, see how your body
Oh,
feels,
yes.
16,
Yes.
8, to see how your body feel. So I started doing it, and the first week it sucked. Like, because I think we're so ingrained in certain patterns and things
Yes.
that we learned as kids, it's hard to get out of it.
Yes.
But the first week it sucked because I was by that point, I was eating a lot of fast food and junk food. I was
Oh,
enjoying life.
sure.
But then by the second week, it became easier, and it makes you, not only does it fixes your mind, because I feel like now I'm not just thinking my food, I can actually focus. But I
Right.
also felt better too because now you're not clogged up, you don't feel bloated all the time, and it also save a little money on groceries too.
Sure,
That's an
sure.
upside.
100%.
But it's a wonderful thing. I do fasting every day. I got my younger brother in it. And so like right now I do like 24, 20, 22 to 2. It just
Yes.
depends on the day. But if one thing anybody take away from this, at least from my end, is try fasting. It really helps you a lot. And I
Love it.
think as people, we don't need to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner all the time.
Yes.
We can skip a couple
Yes.
meals,
Well, even in
so
that space, we know when you're go to bed. First of all, we all can do better about not eating after 9 o'clock, right? First of all, your body's digestive system and circadian rhythm says you shouldn't eat anything after 9, right? So we
that's
want to
true.
just, at least get back to sixes and sevens, so we can start doing that. And then also your body's still in digestive mode when you get up in the morning. So if you get up and you're shoving a bagel in your mouth at 7 or 8, your body really is still digesting the food from the day before. So really what's more appropriate would be like a light smoothie. Or if you can, if you're, a
Yeah.
little bit more disciplined, you could do like a hot tea in the morning and, with lemon and ginger, and that would actually help motivate. Or maybe apple cider vinegar and a little baking soda and water, that'll get you alkaline and kind of get things going. But one really great one, this is great. Get your pens out, guys. An easy one. I call it a lemon hot shot, but basically it's just a half a shot of fresh squeezed lemon juice,
Ooh,
and
okay.
then the equal parts, your best olive oil you can find, and a pinch of cayenne pepper. Mix it up and take it as a shot. It tastes like one of those hot, sour lemon drops or whatever, but it's delicious. And when you do that for 5 days, if people that have fatty liver disease, it like takes care of it. So check it out. I mean, I just do it every day because it's, it's a good boost, cayenne pepper, and you're just getting your body going. It's delicious. So whenever I can find a code like that where it's good and is good for me, I use those. Yeah.
How do you find these things? Like do you have I know you talked about your community, but like how did you personally like figure out all this stuff? Because it's not easy to, for the average person to go look, it's easy to look at, certain fad diets and stuff.
Right.
But how did you get involved in, because this is really more like centric on, for me, I'm like scratching the surface when it comes to this. You're actually in it.
Yeah.
Like, how did you get in it? Because it's different than what I'm used to.
Well, you know what? If I'm just going to tell you, if you're motivated by saving your own life, you're going to read everything. You're going to that's enough motivation. Or if you're trying to save the life of a loved one, and I read a lot, but I also have divine insight where things will just come to me. It'll just be a message, or I might just scroll on the TV and it'll be like something that catches my eye. But I also say that I am also seeking knowledge. And I'm also grateful for, the space of abundance and knowing that I have a voice here to share a message of hope and letting people know that A, you got this. And B, as long as you remember A, then it's going to work out. And just surround yourself with people that understand that, because steel sharpens steel. But we're creating a mastermind alliance, just having this conversation about healing people. And in terms for me, I was motivated. I will tell you, and this is the first time I've ever told this story, but I will tell you because I like you a lot.
I appreciate
and
it.
So at any rate, I'll tell you, and this kind of ties back into the whole military spouse thing. So my husband was deployed. I go to the doctor for a routine exam, and they say, hey, we see some trouble here in your left, breast area, and come back in a couple of weeks and we'll tell you if you got cancer. Just like that. Just matter of fact, I think the hand wave was there and everything. And I just said, this is a spirit that I don't need to be around. It was just, maybe I said something more colorful, but I was thinking, I'm going to come back in 2 weeks, but I could either go home and cry for 2 weeks, or I can educate myself on every healing modality. I'm going to talk to God every day and say, God, show me what the next thing is. And then thank God for my healing. And so there's a documentary that I've watched a bunch. I would say at least 111 times. And it's called The Secret. And when I watched this documentary, it talks about attracting love and wealth, abundance. And at the end, there's a whole chapter about wellness. And that's kind of how my book moves as well. So this whole sequence of wellness. And there was a lady that was diagnosed with breast cancer. And what she decided to do was to not allow anything negative in her atmosphere. If you were a negative person, she's not talking. If it was negative news, she's not watching it. No sad stories. All she said she did was watch comedies and thank God every day.
Yeah.
So, the story, she heals herself from cancer without any chemotherapy treatment and all of that. And that brings me back to, I try to remind myself to tell you this, but we were talking about fasting. There is a study of a mice, or you can say rats or mice, and the USC study shows that when our bodies are fasted, right, when we're in a fasted state, our cells get like this protective coating around it. Only healthy cells know how to get the super invisible shield around it, right? So what happens is when chemotherapy comes in and washes out everything, it can't wash away the cells that have the invisible shield around it. So what they did is they took these mice, USC study, just type in USC mice study and fasting. Anyway, take one group of mice, let's say there's 20, I'm making the number up. There's 20 mice here and 20 mice over here. These 20 mice were fasted. They didn't get to eat anything for 24 hours or whatever the hours were. And these mice got to eat whatever they wanted to, like they normally did. And the next day, they gave both rats or mice, whatever, double the chemotherapy than they normally would. All the mice that had not fasted died. All the mice that fasted lived. And so that was just a very incredible story about the power of fasting and letting the body figure it out. But you can't say that your body's going to heal and not believe it and then watch the ID channel for 7 days in a row, right? So we want to watch things that uplift us and make us smile and get excited by a butterfly if you see it, because if we wait to have something super big to happen to crack a smile, then the smiles will be, fewer and further between. But if we just get excited by just seeing a kid laugh, or, even if I see a kid cry, I think it's hilarious, because I always tell the parent, I said, look, this is the best time, because everything could be handled. All problems could be handled with either ice cream or Band-Aid. That's it.
That's true. That's true.
That's true. When they're under a certain age, stickers, oh my goodness.
Well, nowadays it's iPads and iPhones, so
isn't that something? We have to do better, because we were talking about sleep, and in my book I talk about the circadian rhythm and which organs are being cleansed at which hours of the night, and I even go into, like, say if someone has puffy eyes, under eyes, you can track that to the organ of the kidney, which is responsible for fear emotion. You know what I mean? And heart, and just reminding us that you have to surround yourself with positive people, positive images, because if you're looking at the news before you go to bed, and by the way, there's my point. When you're looking at your phone in bed, it's blocking the production of melatonin, which is required for restful sleep. So then we have these kids that are not getting proper sleep, and they're blocking the production of their melatonin, and then they get up early with lack of sleep. Now they're lethargic, and you're saying, hey, I know some people that are looking aged. Well, that's why, because they're not getting proper sleep. Everyone's walking around dehydrated and overeating, because really 2 meals a day is really plenty, especially if you're doing a solid smoothie in the morning. Have you had one of those smoothies with the chia seeds and the banana and the
I've tried it once. Yep.
Right? So you do that in the morning. How can you put a sandwich or anything? Yes, that's plenty. And your body appreciates it. It's like when you first get up, do you want to get out of the bed and just start running, or do you need some time to get up and move and stretch your arms,
Yeah. No, that's fair. You know what? I'm at the point where, like, I've been doing fasting for, it's going on 5 years now. I don't think about breakfast. I don't think about lunch. I don't think about none of that anymore.
Yes.
And, like, I think one of the things you touched on was, you talked about the story about the lady with the health issue. I'm forgetting the actual name of it that you mentioned, but it reminds me of something. I remember I was studying in college, and they was talking about how people who take initiative, take care of themselves outside of just going to the hospital, going to the doctor, because a lot of times it starts in the house. The way how we sleep, the way how we eat, if you work out, if you don't walk, if you ride a bike, all of that stuff plays a big part in that.
Yes.
And I think, like you said, I think right now, yeah, I do feel bad for a lot of kids, because I remember I worked at a sports camp in 2019, and I couldn't believe the amount of kids that didn't know how to play dodgeball or refused to play because they wanted to play Fortnite on their phone. And I think that starts a bad pattern. And I'm starting to see even with, my little sister, where it's like, they don't want to go outside. They don't want to play no sports. They just want to sit in the house and do nothing. And I think right now everybody can, and this for me personally, I think COVID was the best time because it kind of forced people to get creative. You had to move, you had to exercise, you had to take care of yourself. And really, it was the first time people was able to take a step back from balancing work and life to actually just focusing on life. And I think that's why, like me, I'm still a work in progress. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh yeah, I'm doing all this when I know I'm not. But I am interested in learning more. And, I don't want to wait until, I'm in my 40s neglecting myself for many years to finally kick that habit. I know it can be kicked, but a lot of times, depending on how you live, it could be too late. But speaking about too late, because life is all about choices. We've been talking about that, right?
Right.
Life is very important in that aspect. So, it's your time to make a choice. Now, what am I referring to? Well, it's your time for the hot seat. Now, you probably got a little sneak preview on Instagram, but for let me explain the rules to you. So, I'm gonna give you two names, and you can give a brief reason why you choose one or the other, or you could just give the answer. But this your time to choose between two names. Now, we spoke a little bit off camera, so I know exactly what we're doing. So this is gonna be the hot seat, greatest R&B and soul musicians of all time. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do this. All right, we're starting off hot. So we got Mary J. Blige or Erica Badu.
Erica Badu.
Whitney Houston.
Whitney Houston.
Uh,
Okay. I'll play along. Okay. Whitney Houston and you.
I was gonna say, well, you might be right on this. I was gonna say Whitney Houston or not Janet Jackson.
I still have to say Whitney Houston. Well, that was hard for me. I mean, I have to say, let me just tell you, that was hard for me because one of the things I used to do as a trainer, when I would introduce myself, I would say, I know what you guys are thinking. I look just like Janet Jackson. I would do that. And then everyone would laugh and I was look serious. I'm like, what do you mean? What are you laughing about? So I love Janet, but if you're saying singer greatest of all time, I gotta say Whitney.
Yeah, she's before my time, but I'll tell you, I listened to a couple of songs. Yeah, oh man, she was amazing.
Well,
But
Bobby
speaking
Brown
about
said people sing, but Whitney could sing. So
yeah, no, I'll praise her. She was, I think she's top two greatest female singers of all time, easily.
Oh yes, easily,
easily,
yes. And they did say she made the Guinness Book of World Records for most awarded female artists. So that was cool.
Really,
yeah. I just saw that yesterday.
Wow, what an achievement! She died very young too. Oh man, the impact she had, even in my generation, is pretty interesting. But speaking of my generation, let's do something fun. Rather, how about Beyonce or Rihanna? No cowboy hats included.
I have to go with Beyonce. I'm a survivor. I'm not going to give up. And I know that was Destiny's Child, but she was on there. So
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do Smokey Robinson or Lionel Richie.
Smokey Robinson, cruising.
That's a good choice. That's a good choice. I like him. Yes. All right, I got another hot choice for you. Luther Vandross or Marvin Gaye.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
That's
oh my goodness.
That's a hard one.
Okay. I have to say Luther. I have to say it. Now, of course, I mean, that Distant Lover version, that live version, Marvin Gaye's Distant Lover has been one of the greatest songs of all time. When he hits that first note and everyone just starts screaming, you could just see him, and listen to that version. Distant Lover, Marvin Gaye, live.
I don't think I listened now. I'm biased.
Just that one song.
I didn't grow up, but I've heard them, on certain Sundays, my mom playing it. But I will say, I'll tell you this. A lot of people don't know this, but I remember being from the age of 10 to like 13. Every time I heard Dancing with My Father by Luther Vandross, I would cry. And,
my gosh.
Yeah. And it was, yeah, a lot of people don't know that, but that song always gets. I just listened to it last night.
I want to think about that next time I hear that song because it is such a beautiful, touching song, and yeah, it's deep. It's deep.
Yeah.
And you know how you feel with that? I think, Distant Lover and Military Lifestyle, you know what I mean? That right there, that song is probably every military person, when they're gone and they're in the distant over there, that song is fantastic. You could just
Uh,
cry all you want to.
well, I'm gonna cut that part out. I don't want people making fun of me. All right, I'm gonna cut
Okay.
Nah, I'll keep it there.
Oh,
But another hard choice. Let's do this. Ray Charles or Stevie Wonder?
Stevie Wonder. Well, that's really not fair because I feel like I was exposed to Stevie Wonder. I mean, Hotter Than July. I don't know. I'm sticking with Stevie Wonder. Now, Ray Charles was an innovator and he had a different climate he had to work in. He's coming out of Georgia and dealing with, and he was blind. Well, they're both blind.
Yeah, that's why I said.
I don't know. I have to go with Stevie Wonder. Yeah.
There's no for me. There's no
Very
wrong choice. They're both great.
I just feel like Stevie Wonder. I have to go with Stevie Wonder. Yeah.
Okay, how about now? This might be an odd matchup, but these are the two groups I think of in terms of impact: the Jackson Five or the Five Heartbeats.
Oh, that's interesting. I like how you did that. Clearly, I have to say the Jackson Five. First of all, I don't think there's anybody on the planet like Michael Jackson. Like like this human, like he was recording, like I think I heard he was on his 200th take or something of one. I think it was Billie Jean or one of those songs. And I think Berry Gordy comes in or something, and I got the song wrong, but the story is the same. And he says, "What's going on in here?" And they say he just, he wants to make it perfect. And then he said, show me the second take, or he said, let me hear the first take and the second take. The second take is what they used. You know what I mean? He was such a perfectionist. And then of course Prince, he was a perfectionist because he would insist that his performers watch the show that they just performed in right after the show, so they could see, we see how you got that one. You know what I mean? I could just see him making sure. And the greats, James Brown, we saw the movie. He's making sure that everyone stays in line. So you have to have that kind of discipline to create that kind of magic.
Michael, I just saw the other day because I didn't go. So New York, every Halloween, they do an annual Thriller performance for the parade.
Oh.
Now, don't get me wrong. Some of those people, they need a beat down for how they doing Michael. Because I'm looking at some of them, they doing this.
Oh, no.
They're messing up the iconic dance. But
oh, yes, they are.
It's crazy to see how many generations this man has. Like, the fact that 5-year-olds know who Michael Jackson is. It's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
All right, speaking of legends, let's wrap this up with the 4 of the greatest musicians everybody knows about. So how about Prince or Michael Jackson?
Michael Jackson.
That's easy for me. I'm not going to disagree. I'm just not. You know what? I think every great artist has someone that they always get compared to. And I think for the final one, because we talked about this one man in particular, but he's always getting lumped up with this other guy. So the final choice, Tupac or Notorious B.I.G.?
I gotta go with Notorious B.I.G. Oh my
Really?
God, I can't believe I said it out loud. And only reason I was thinking that because if you're saying like as a human, I kind of feel like Tupac was more like a poetic activist, and I felt like more like a lyricist. I would think I just kind of like how Biggie's flows. That was a hard one. I had to. I would say both, right? But you would think I would go Tupac, and I even hear myself say it. I actually have a Tupac poster in, So, but I don't know. I just feel like maybe that's my answer. Well, you're obviously in Tupac, right?
Yeah, I know I'm a New Yorker. Everybody anticipates Notorious, but Tupac, that man has made some songs that just, I just heard Till the End of Time. This released after he passed away, like years after his estate posted it. That man, his lyrics and the way he delivered his lyrics and his songs was just, it wasn't just gangster rap. It was
Yes.
a message behind everything he did. And
Yeah.
it was just, he hits. When I have grief or I need to pick me up, I gotta go to Tupac. You know, that's but
Yeah.
Notorious, he's up there. He's up there. You know, I'm a New Yorker, so
Like it's the conversation where we didn't talk about sports, but of course the Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron conversation. Like it all depends on if you saw Michael Jordan, you know, in the 90s, you know, if you're gonna have a different feeling than seeing Kobe Bryant. So I don't know. I think that it's hard to pick one over the other. They're all so talented and great. And for me to pick Notorious B.I.G. doesn't mean I like him more. It just meant that I had to make a choice, and I just felt like that was a choice I wanted to make. But you could ask me yesterday, I might have said Tupac. I mean, it just kind of depends, you know, the mood you're in and everything. I might have, if I just heard a Tupac song, maybe, you know. But those two artists, to try and say which one gives you a different feeling, they were both extremely magical. So
yeah. No, there's no right or wrong, and they both died way too young. I mean, the greatness they left just in their mid-20s is, you know, imagine what they'd be like today. But you know,
and we always want to imagine, like, what would Tupac be rapping about right now? You know, I mean, like, there's a lot of comedy right now in the to talk about. I'll let Dave Chappelle talk about the White House, but I'm just simply saying, like, I can see him writing songs that say, you know, have such a message, you know, and sharing like all the suffering that's going on around the world and things like that. And I would be curious to see how he would try and unite and bring people together through his music. That would be,
a society with them two being alive, I would have loved to see that, because I didn't grow up with them, but just hearing their impact from the 90s to now is freaking tremendous. And you know, even though they left the impact, you have left an impact too, because this has honestly it's been one of my favorite. You've been one of my favorite guests.
Oh my gosh! My gosh! I've seen your guests, and they're all so fabulous. So thank you. I appreciate that.
You know, because I'll say this real quick. You know, a lot of times people associate name value with how great the conversation is going to be, and just because someone may be more famous than somebody else doesn't always mean that the conversation is going to be just as good. So, you know, for me, I chase great conversation. The people I know that listen to this, they love these type of conversations. And, you know, it's not just because you're a Black woman. It's the fact that you bring so much knowledge and stuff to the table too.
Thank you.
You know, it's been incredible. And I'll have to say, a helping hand is a better hand. And it's not just a slogan, it's a way of life. But I've been in a given mood. So, you know, with the holiday season, I'll give you the floor with the last word.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. This has been an incredible opportunity. I'm grateful to be a guest on your show. So thank you, Juan, for this opportunity. And I just want to say that the message that I'm delivering is not my own. It's divinely inspired, and I have to give credit where credit is due. So God is responsible for all of this, and I'm grateful that I've been chosen to at least share what's been imparted in my heart. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Let's get out of here. It's Friday. Go.
Oh, yeah. One other thing. I'm going to be on The Price is Right. So I'm going to come on down. Let's all visualize me winning a double showcase on Veterans Day.
You just telling me now? Oh. Come on down.
I got to get the prices right. All right. That's great. I'm just going to practice my victory dance now.
All right. So in hindsight, what you're saying is you're coming up for a follow-up. Got it. Okay.
I love it. Right. Yes, absolutely.
We're doing that.
You know, a double showcase is, you know, I'm just going to just claim that. And when you just put the energy out there that things are going to work out, you know, I'm trusting that the people that need to see this message will see it and just keep going, keep moving further.